I'm just taking care of a little bit of the beginning of the stream things that I do, like sending my brother an invite, which hopefully he's not on the road because I don't know if he's supposed to be heading from Kentucky back to Tennessee or what he's doing, but I'll try to get him on. We're going to talk about gaming and maybe a little light politics, but nothing too hardcore. And then we're going to talk about whatever you, the guys in the audience, want to talk about. On top of that, I'm going to show off a couple things that I've picked up. Don't know if I'll ever use them in my game, but I am going to show them off. All right, we got a chat. Big Vic, hello. Big Vic, you are the king of the reprobates. And you know that. And also, man, you've been busy and I ain't been liking it. I ain't seen you very much at all. So, not that it's all about me, but then again, it might all be all about me. Sometimes I wonder if maybe I'm the only actual creature in the universe and if possibly everyone around me is a dream. But I'm not sure if that's true.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, so I showed this off yesterday. It's the Vallejo 60 piece express paint kit.
Nice.
Yeah, what's really nice about it, even though I've been painting since I've been like 14, is it came with this book. And I was thumbing through it, and there is a lot of good information in here that even a guy that's been painting 40 years can be like, never knew that. You know what I mean? Like, what, it's got like color theory and all kinds of stuff like that. But other than that, I've just been running my D&D game and hanging out. But yeah, it's great to see you. I assume you've been out on the road making that money, doing your thing.
Yeah. Did the Dave Con thing this weekend.
Was that this weekend?
Yep, it was last weekend.
Oh my God, it snuck up on me so quick too.
Yep.
Not that I would have been able to go. I hate.
You could have came. Jesus Christ, you're retired for Christ's sake.
I don't know how I could have done it though.
Oh, what do you mean? Fly into an airport 1.3 miles away and and then get a ride. I'd come and pick you up personally, bring you to the hotel, then put you in every game you could have possibly desired. Oh, James, the agony of you having to play with the Blackmore gang and all those people. I could have even had a personal escort for you out of Orlando, consisting of, let's see, Ginger Harmony, her boyfriend, and about 3 other individuals I knew flew up out of Orlando on the same flight.
Oh, Ginger Harmony went?
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool.
But you would have had such a horrible time.
I have nothing to say because you're right.
Yeah, you know I'm right. They
I
would have
do know
met you at
you're
the
right.
airport, at the gate. They would have shepherded you right to Minneapolis, and you would have been just like a pig in slop. You'd have been like, what do I do first? Strategos. Let me see here. Blackmore, Empire of the Petal Thrones,
Blackmore
Bronstein.
definitely.
Let me see here. OD&D with Griff Morgan. You know.
Griff. Is Griff Lorgan the guy that did Secrets of Blackmore?
Yes.
I was just gonna say if that dude was there, I would definitely want to like just tell him, hey, I own your DVD set and I think it's awesome. course, I went to a different place than he went because he goes to the Arneson created D&D, and I go to the guy that created Bronstein might have
Wesley.
created D&D.
Yeah,
You
well,
know, it's like
I go with Wesley too. So
yeah, Wesley, because it's like okay, Gygax's huge strength. How you doing, Mobius? Was the fact that he saw D&D and realized, hey, there's something here, right? And was willing to actually borrow money to make it happen. But if we're talking about the true invention of role playing, I mean, other than, you know, us running around the yard being like, I'm a cop and you're a robber. Yeah, it's Wesley. Wesley was the one that created a whole village and then stocked it with 20 plus players. And
yeah, there was 27 players inside of Wesley's game this weekend. I counted 30 something in the room when I finally exited it, and I guess some of them just wanted to observe the first 2 hours of Wesley being an oratory of gaming history and everything else. So,
oh, I can totally dig it. It'd been nice to say hello to Harmony Ginger. She she goes to a game store about 45 minutes from me.
yeah, well, like
because
I said,
Orlando is actually pretty spread out.
Next year is the 5th anniversary of DaveCon. It's the last weekend of April. Save your pennies, get your butt up here, and I'll get you in every game you could possibly think of.
All it to
You got a bad connection right now. You're sort of floating away.
back.
You're breaking up. You sound Mr. Roboto right now.
Let me try something. There we are. Maybe there we are. Am I here?
Yeah, I can hear you. There
Okay,
you go.
good.
You're better.
My I hope they're working on it or something, because it's been sketchy as hell this last 3 days. I usually never have a problem with it, but this last 3 days has been
Somebody's effing with your connection. They don't like you.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's just because there's so much construction in this area that they're constantly.
Ungar says his voice is messed up and he's not joining today. So it says over here.
Yeah, well, he did say he had a sore throat.
Must be all the yelling he's been doing because of his wife's home.
He's actually up in Kentucky.
Well, that's what I said. Didn't he say his wife was going to be home about this time?
I don't know, but he went to spend Easter and everything. I'm not joining today. My throat's messed up again, so I'm just going to rest up and try to get better. You know, stop hanging out around bus stops doing that thing you do, and maybe your throat will heal up.
Whoa, threw Hungar right underneath the bus.
That's right.
I was talking to a wife this weekend, a vendor's wife, and he said something, she said something, and I'm like, whoa, you threw your husband underneath the bus and waved the semi to come across him too.
Yeah, he says that his wife is on the road right now.
Oh.
And he's such a big fan of the truck driving thing, even though he's not driving trucks anymore.
Yeah.
He still works part time as a lot lizard.
Oh, that's what he does, huh?
No,
I don't know
no.
how much money he makes, but you never know in Kentucky. Uh,
Well,
but
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
right. I'm
whatever
just
whatever
messing
turn
with him.
it's whatever Hungar wants to make, Hungar can do it. Hungar
Yeah,
says $20 is $20.
yeah, right.
I wouldn't give him a rubber nickel, but hey.
Hey, you know how much good stuff you can get at a Bucky's for $20?
Never been to a Bucky's.
No,
Nope.
that's not a thing up there, huh?
Nope.
Do
No
you
Bucky's
have a
in
giant
Minnesota.
like truck stop type thing you go to?
I just go to a place called Quick Trip and I just roll in there real quick, grab my fuel and some snacks, and I'm out of there. They got a good rewards program for every gallon you put in. It's like a penny or something like that. I don't remember what it is, but shit, I probably got $70 on a rewards card. So if I need something and I don't have any loose change in my pocket or forget my credit card in my truck or something, I just roll in there, punch in my phone number, and buy whatever I need.
Yeah, down south here, we got Bucky's. And Bucky's is like a truck stop, except from one side of the parking lot to the other side's got to be 2 miles.
Yeah.
And it's got like a giant freaking mall in the middle.
Yep.
And you can literally buy anything at the Bucky's. And they have the best beef jerky. And every flavor you can think of. Like the last time I was there, I got Korean beef jerky and I got Bohemian garlic beef jerky. But that's just the Bucky's thing. You can go in there. They've got like 9 restaurants. They've even got a whole section full of like chrome for your trucks. Hey, what's up, Daniel Barry? So,
Bling.
like, if you want to go in and chrome out your truck or do anything, they've got all that kind of stuff in there.
Bling. Yeah,
It's
Chrome don't
kind
get you
of
home. Hungar will tell you that one. Hungar will admit Chrome don't get you home.
Yep. But the thing is that it's just like if you're on 75 or 95, you're going to drive past the Bucky's. And they have, like I said, just delicious everything. So it's kind of a thing. And if you're a trucker, I mean, they've got their own personal lots there. Hey, Jose. And then they've got like the where you can like put a number in and take a shower. And
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just, truck stops in the South, they're no joke. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
Southerners take that shit serious. Because we love our truckers down here, We do. We understand. Well, so many of us down here are involved with that industry.
Yep.
And unlike a lot of people, we understand that if the truckers stopped doing their thing, our country would basically come to a screeching halt. Everyone would be hosed. You wouldn't get orange juice in California. You wouldn't get eatable oranges in Florida because they're two different things. The ones you eat are grown in California, and the juice ones are grown in Florida.
I was writing a
people don't
novel
respect
once.
truck drivers enough.
I was writing a novel once based on a U.S. military thing about how you would cut off the United States, and the Mississippi River is it. If somebody were to like sail barge or someplace, bombs on and bridges, the Mississippi River, the eastern side of the United States would go pretty fast. The western would be harder because that's where all the oil and the refineries and all that are. Texas, North Dakota, stuff like that. So really feel it fast.
Well, something was said that I'm super happy about, and that is that our government is going to start digging coal out of the ground again. And as somebody from Appalachia,
well,
now you're getting sketchy, but as someone from Appalachia, I love the idea of that. Especially since now coal miners don't make minimum wage and go in there and die. I mean, that's like a good job if you get on.
Oh yeah.
You make money now. And we have, I think the Minister of the Interior was saying we have like trillions of dollars worth of coal, including metallic coal, which you have to make iron and steel. So
yeah,
you know what I mean? And we have the second cleanest plants in the world. The only plant cleaner than ours is in Japan. So,
well, and Biden tried denied permits for all those coal plants out here and Minnesota, North Dakota, and all that stuff. And I'm just like, you're a freaking idiot. I don't. No, I'm not going there. It just, these solar panels only have 20 years of life in them, and what's going to happen now that we're turning off the spigot from China? All those solar panels are now, you know what I mean?
Well, while we haven't been digging up any coal, the Chinese have opened up like hundreds of coal plants, and theirs aren't good like ours. I mean, theirs is just belching pure black smoke right into the sky. They're not high tech at all. And then I was just watching a Canadian guy talk, and apparently everyone in Canada is mad. The Liberals are mad because they elected the guy they elected thinking he was going to be the guy to stand up to Trump. And within 48 hours of getting elected, he's already called Trump and he's talking about making deals and shit. And the conservatives are all mad because, it's like,
well, I'm going to have to bolt here. My young assistant has just pulled in here. We're going to work on one of the projects that we made at Dave Con, and I will be back a little later. I will talk to you.
You have a great one, Vic. It was good to catch up.
Yep. I'm going to see you at Dave Con next year.
I hope so.
Aren't I? All right.
Talk to you later. Satya, thank you for popping in before bedtime. I hope it's wonderful over there for you, and I do appreciate you popping in. I tell you what, I could blame Brucey Bruce for this. I am going to show it. It's still wet because I washed it, but check this out. And for those of you who don't know, it's Tiamat. Except, of course, Reaper had to call it something else, because what's funny, though, is because I picked that up, they gave me like 3 free packs of whatever I wanted. And all 3 of them, I picked giant ticks. And I'm thinking these will be easy to paint. I'll just paint them like the ticks we have in Kentucky, which are dark brown with like a beige U shape on the back of them. We call them deer ticks. And you got to be careful of them because they will give you, I forget the name, Lyme disease, which can absolutely cause some serious problems. But I don't know why little miniature giant ticks. I think it's because it's such a useful thing to have. It's like it's a creature that from level 1 to level 10 is going to be useful in a role-playing game. Got your fields plowed. Nice. Nice. But I am a huge fan of creatures in miniature that, one, can be used at any level in D&D, and two, could be used in any type of game. Because if I were playing a sci-fi game, these giant ticks, I mean, they could be something, like the travelers land on some world and all of a sudden, they're getting jumped by whatever the hell these things could be. That's just a useful miniature to have. Yep. No fields here, Satya. Just swamps and alligators and crocodiles. I live in the only place in the whole world where crocodiles and alligators naturally co-inhabit. So, good stuff. Good stuff. The main difference is alligators aren't aggressive until they get really big, and crocodiles are always aggressive. They, like, a crocodile will try and take a chomp out of your ass just whenever you can. They're just born mean. My mama said it's because they got all them teeth and no dentist. That's such a good movie, I thought. She showed me her boobies and I liked them. Well, good luck on that, man. Good luck. I haven't been to my local comic shop since my brother was down. And, he drove me up there. And we ended up buying board games, thinking my wife would really like them. And then it turned out she didn't. I think we bought Everdell or something. She didn't like it. So, Hungar, are you still at least listening to your brother talk? Because if you are, man, we need to. I'm glad we don't have alligators. Yeah, I don't think alligators could survive where you are. But then again, do you guys got polar bears in the northern part? And I know you got nasty swampland. And also your winters are legendary. So Finland, not a easy place to live, I wouldn't think. I mean, modern day, yes, but in the old days, I mean, 2-hour drive, man. Well, that sucks. But I'm sure you've read some of the Finnish mythology. It's like Finnish mythology makes like Norse mythology look like, I don't know, Sunday school shit. It's like everyone in Finnish mythology is not a good guy. It's really kind of crazy, you know? It's like the idea that there are goddesses that travel around gathering up misery only so they can mix it in a big pot to make it more potent, and then they could go back and redistribute it. I mean, that's some crazy ass shit there. And there's no heaven. There's just this place you go. And when you go, the god and goddess offer you a drink. And if you drink the drink, then you lose all memory of who you used to be. And you spend all eternity just doing the same shit you always did. I mean, At least you had what's his name, Lammonkainen, and the other wizard that sang things into existence. But man, like, and Tolkien based a lot of his mythology on the Finnish belief systems. It's really kind of weird, or not. Why he chose Finnish when he was trying to basically write a manifesto for the Saxon people, I don't know, but I've got one of those Time Life books about wizards and witches and stuff, and it goes into detail about, I think, Lammonkainen, and there's another wizard, and how they were constantly battling it out with some evil witch in the north, and they tried to steal her salt grinder and stuff like that, and like the whole world come from a goose egg, and I mean, it's trippy, man. It's like, wow. I mean, but that's how they explained the oceans being so salty, is after they stole the salt grinder, which its ability as a magic artifact was it constantly could create salt. Vainamoinen. Yep, that's the other one. Yeah, Vainamoinen. He sailed across the ocean on a whalebone and he sung the wind. Kind of crazy stuff, like they sang spells into existence. But on their way back, Luhai, if I'm saying it right, and her people attacked the boat they were on. What's up? How you doing, homie? Love your little symbol, the red paw. Is that Clemson Tigers or just you like? Yeah, they wanted to steal the salt grinder and it fell into the ocean and it turned all of the ocean waters salty. And I'm just sitting there thinking, damn, that is cool, man. That is some cool. But, like I said, I used to be a really big reader. Cat Paw of a Mysterious Origin. I used to be a really big reader. That's the only reason I know anything I know about like Finnish mythology. But it's kind of wild, man. And if you read history, it's like even the Swedes were afraid to F around in Finland. It was like the Swedes were busy rampaging across like Russia and everywhere else in the world. But when it come to Finland, they're like, nah, nah, we're not going in there. Those people are nuts. Like, so I don't know what the Finns were doing that they had the Swedes so freaking terrified, but okay, that is something else. But anyway, Kate Moan, I was just talking to my boy, but I'm going to let Satya get to bed because he needs to get his sleep. It's like midnight where he is or later. And I see we've got a couple people in chat. And if you guys have any thoughts or opinions on gaming or anything else, now's the time. I did 3D print and put together. They were multi-part. Where am I from? Orlando. These are troglodytes. Another monster that if the adventurers are going deep into the caves, you got to have troglodytes. I mean, that's the thing, 6 hours difference to Finland. All right. Kalervo. Yeah, Tolkien was really, really into Finnish mythology. Oh, you're in Sweden? No, Satya's a Finn. I'm not sure if we're in Finland because I do know it's a big country and, well, I mean, it's whatever. Oh, Jose, you're trying to go for a degree. That is awesome. Good luck. I am pulling for you, brother. I'm pulling for you. It's never too late. Oh, you're from Sweden. Oh, and we were just talking about how, for whatever reason, the Swedes they invaded Russia under the dynasty of Rurik. They invaded everywhere in the world but Finland. They're like, nah, we're not going to Finland. You know, screw that place. And also the idea that I know a Norwegian YouTube creator, and for some reason, I guess Norwegians really do not like Northern Savonia. Okay. Norwegians are not huge fans of the Swedes either. Now, me, when I got my DNA tests done, I am part of all of it except Finland. No Finnish blood. But I'm part Norwegian, part Swedish, part Danish, a large part Germanic, and then Slav and Scots Irish and Irish. So I probably got my Swedish and Norwegian blood from the Irish, actually, honestly. Since the Swedes and the Norwegians pretty much built so many of the Irish cities as trade, cities and stuff like that. To be honest, that's probably where I get my Norwegian or Scandinavian blood. Now, my wife, she's Danish. And I mean, like, yeah, 100%. Got to go to sleep now, up early tomorrow. Well, my Swedish friend, I'm going to assume we're friends since you don't hate me, that I know of. I hope you have a wonderful sleep and God bless, or, Odin watch over you or whatever. And have a good one, man. Have a good one. Dave, Danish and Icelandic, which is like the same thing, really, right? Not really, but kind of. Yeah, my wife, her DNA is crazy because it's like 80% Scandinavian. And of that, like 80% Danish. And then like the rest is Irish. So it's like, yeah, go get your shut eye, bro. And have a good time going to the game store tomorrow. Maybe you'll see Raggy there. Wouldn't that be something? I got these orcs that I printed out from The Printing Goes Ever On. And he prints these orcs out mainly for the Middle Earth role-playing game or the Middle Earth battle game. So, they have the kind of ugly but mostly human face on them. But what I've been doing is I printed out a bunch of pig-faced orc heads, and I had to shrink them to be the right scale. And so I've been beheading the Tolkien orcs, and I wish that would focus in. Come on. What if I put my finger on it? Sometimes that works if I put a finger on it. Anyway, I've been taking the Tolkien style orc heads off and putting the more D&D pig-faced heads on. Because I don't know. Because I like the pig-faced orcs. I always have since the very first time I picked up D&D. I've always been like a pig-faced orc kind of guy. Now, if I were playing Lord of the Rings, I would definitely be going for the Tolkien orcs because, like if I were running the One Ring, and I've got a ton of Tolkien orcs because I bought the Fellowship of the Ring game, and it came with like tons of miniatures. It came with like rock trolls and orcs and goblins and all kinds of stuff. So, wargs and giant spiders. And I'm happy to also proclaim that I got my Saturn working. It gave me some problems, but I remembered the other Saturn that I think is going bad. I had a big problem getting that to print reliably. And then I remembered it's the resin, because I'm using a water rinsable extra tough resin. So what I did is I just went into the Chitta box and I changed all the settings on my Saturn II to the same as the Saturn III, which means, extra layers and extra time curing and all that. And boom, working just great now again. So let me see. I think I'm going to put this guy together before I paint it. I might actually look into that. Let me see. I think that this goes right here. It does. See, so there's the tail on the base. This thing's going to have like a 100+ millimeter base, maybe 150 mil base. So absolutely humongous. Absolutely humongous. And like I said, part of it's still a little bit wet because whenever you get any miniatures, you want to wash them. You want to wash them. Also, I have to throw some appreciation and love, even though I know he's at work right now, out to my homeboy Bruce Lombardo of Bruce Lombardo Dick's Division. He was the one who actually painted this thing up on his channel, if you ever wanted to see that. And because I have Venger from the D&D cartoon, I kind of thought, well, if you got Venger from the D&D cartoon, you got to have Tiamat, because Tiamat was kind of Venger's arch nemesis. You know what I mean? When they weren't trying to kill the kids, which I have two versions of the kids from the D&D cartoons. I have the kids when they're kids, and then I have some lead miniatures from Antediluvian Miniatures where they're grown up. Like Eric has a sword in his hand, and he's got beard. Bobby's a grown man, and he's like big as shit and muscled up. They're like in their 20s. So I thought that was really cool. So hopefully, Finch 139. All right. So you're holding your head. You're like, yeah. Life do be like that sometimes. So let me see. That goes there, and that goes there, and then this goes here. So the next step, I guess, is to glue this leg in here. I'm pretty happy. All the fittings are really good. Not a lot of gappage or anything. A little Tamiya putty, and it'll be awesome. So welcome, Finch. If you have anything you want to talk about within certain reasonable limitations, I'll give you my opinion on it, even though my opinion and What's it they say? My opinion plus like $5 will get you a cup of coffee. It used to be my opinion and 99 cents, but you know, shit's expensive. All right, so yeah, there's a little gap there, but my Tamiya putty stuff will handle that no problem. And then this will set in here. Let's see. That goes there. Oh, that goes there. The tail goes there. Okay, you guys can see that top of it, but look at that. Damn, thing's big. That's what she said. So now that I know that the fitting is going to be okay, always best when you're building big models like this to dry fit them, you know, just to make sure. I don't have 99 cents for that, right? But I need to at some point stop being lazy and take a bunch of pictures of my Warhammer stuff, because I've got people who want to buy it, but apparently the pictures that I already took of it, they're like wanting more pictures. Those are Orthodox Christian icons. So you can see Jesus, Joseph, John the Baptizer, Andrew, all the apostles, the Romanov family, etc. Just the basic normal ones, really. Like St. George is in there. I need to get an icon of Matthew, though, because the book of Matthew has always been my favorite book of the Bible. I've always been a huge fan of and then the black thing next to it, that's my firefighter helmet that I got when I retired. Well, more like got retired, but still. And I keep that there too, so that I can, I don't know, look at it and remember it. The good times. The good times. Let's see. Is this going to work? I don't think so. I think I'm just going to hold it. Where did I get what? The icons? Most of the icons came from Amazon, but I think about half of them were made on Mount Athos in Greece. Why do I like the book of Matthew so much? Because Matthew, his writing style is very matter of fact. Like John, Luke, some of the other guys, I'm not saying they're not awesome. They're awesome, but they sometimes can be a little bit more poetic and flowery. But if you read Matthew, Matthew is like, on this day, at this time, at this place, this happened. Boom, 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 boom. You know, Matthew is, yes, I am a member of the ROKOR, which is the Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia. Though I will be honest, it's been a long time since I've been to church. No. This room is a wreck. You see this table here? I finally finished my trench table for Trench Crusade, and then I piled a bunch of shit on top of it that I need to put in storage boxes and get out of. No, the things I collect for aesthetics are, like I said, this gigantic dragon. That's aesthetics. I wouldn't say factual. Factual isn't the word I would use. Maybe more precise would be the word I would use. more precise, you know? Like John tends to be, the book of John tends to be a lot more flowery, you know, a lot more poetic, a lot more like that. And of course, Luke and James, you know, they all have their thing, but Matthew is like, Matthew's like a guy giving witness at a courthouse. You know what I mean? Turns out you were recruited by the KGB. Finch, the KGB don't exist, bro. You know the Soviet Union broke up like, let me do some basic math, 35 years ago? That was the end of the KGB, man. Now it's, I think, the GRU. That is one thing that's weird. So many people still have this weird hatred of Russia. I mean, it's like the people who argue the most about, I hear my puppy in there, about how bad it is to be prejudiced and stuff are the same people who are the most prejudiced against Russians and stuff. You know, like, you're not boomer, are you, Finch? And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I really don't. I'm just curious, you know. But yeah, the idea that being a part of a religion would make me part of another country's secret service it's kind of a weird flex, you know, on somebody, because it's like, well, I hear him. He's like, "Are you going to walk me, mama?" I took him out earlier and he peed, but he didn't. Oh, look at him. He's like, "Mama." My wife's getting ready to take our dog. I'm 23 and I'm Ukrainian. How in the hell are you not on the front line? I thought they'd already pretty much kidnapped everyone about your age and threw them on the front line. And also, well, before the Ukrainian government become a dictatorship, you do know that you were under the same diocese as I am, the same patriarchate. I mean, before the Zelensky's government started throwing priests and nuns and stuff like that into prison, because nothing says we're the good guys like wearing swastikas and throwing Orthodox priests into prison. You know, that's how you convince the world you're the good guy. Of course, we did finally sign that deal with Ukraine, so that's good. Hopefully that war will end soon. While there still is a Ukraine. Not that I would care if Russia conquered all of Ukraine. I wouldn't. Wouldn't bother me a bit. It'd just be a return to the empire, you know? Since Ukraine is, for all of its history, almost been part of Russia anyway. Except for a couple of breaks like World War II when the Germans put Bandera in charge. But hey, you know, whatever. Yeah, my family on my pop's side had to flee during the Communist Revolution. They are what modern day people call kulaks. Kidnap starts at 25. It's called mobilization in a country in which there is a war. This is correct. I'm a combat vet, but over here you have to volunteer. We don't kidnap people off the street and send them to the front line to die to a far superior army. We also don't, try to throw a monkey wrench into every peace arrangement. Another thing we don't do is send the Nazi Azov battalion into the Donbass region to kill civilians, which is something the Ukraine government did for 10 years. So I'm sorry. If you want to make this Russia versus Ukraine, I am 100% on the Russian side. What should we do? Surrender? Yes. 100%. That's what you should have done. Or maybe you shouldn't have allowed the US CIA to finance the Maidan coup and put a scumbag like Zelensky in charge. Maybe when the Russians kept telling you, stop killing Russian citizens in the Donbass, you could have stopped that. Maybe when everyone kept telling you, you will never be part of the NATO alliance, you could have been like, well, okay. I mean, there's a ton of stuff you could have done. Yeah, but the Azov battalion are straight up Nazis, Finch. You know that. They're Banderists. They're not the good guys. They never will be. And while, Russia shouldn't have invaded, people would say, I mean, what were they supposed to do? Let the Azov battalion just kill everyone in Donbass? I mean, they stood there for, think about it. The Russian Federation warned Ukraine for almost a decade straight to stop being assholes. And the Ukrainians just could not stop. No, the people in Donbass are Russian ethnically, just like most Ukrainians are. And they did not agree with the coup. So Zelensky's government sent Azov in to start killing everyone who disagreed. That's what actually happened. And if you did any research at all, you would know, yeah, that's what happened. I mean, think about this. How many people in Ukraine do you estimate are Orthodox Christian? How many people do you think? What percentage are Orthodox Christian? I know on the western side of the country, you've got Roman Catholics and stuff. Like half, 50%. So a 30-year-old effeminate Jewish man won your election? That's what you're telling me? You're Orthodox? That means you're my brother. So why are you fighting your brothers? And why are you doing it at the behest of somebody who is anti-Christ? Zelensky does not believe in Jesus and never will. You are being played. And because you are being played by powers above your level of conception, Slavic men, you have a new Ukrainian church, which is just a government-ran bullshit. The original Ukrainian church was part of the Patriarchate of Moscow. While you are being manipulated into fighting this horrible war, more and more Slavic Christians are dying. And the saddest thing here is, as somebody who is Russian and you're Ukrainian, we are, yeah, that's a lie, FSB. That's a lie. It's a lie. It's just something people say. I could easily argue back that the Ukrainian church is whatever the Ukrainian special forces are. So why did they attack you? I told you why. Because Zelensky sent the Azov battalion into the Donbass to kill every person who disagreed with his presidency. Tens of thousands of civilians were killed over the last 10 years. Did you not know that? Did nobody ever tell you that? Plus the whole, we want to be part of NATO and we want to get nukes and we want to do this and we want to do that. It's never going to happen. And also, just a simple reminder that you should keep in check. Kiev was the capital of the Russian Empire for a very long time, right? So you, whether you like it or not, are probably Russian. But you have been manipulated by neocons from the West to fight against your brothers, Slavs, and Orthodox men. And do you think that these non-Christians give a shit how many of you or they die? They don't. Yeah, he was. Oh, you mean taking back Crimea? You never should have had Crimea. You never should have had it. It was never part of, you know what happened is Khrushchev, when he reorganized the Soviet states, put Crimea under the Soviet state of Ukraine because Khrushchev was Ukrainian. And then when the Soviet Union fell apart, Russia and Ukraine made a deal about Crimea and Donbass. You made a deal. And then Ukraine broke the deal. And then Russia took the shit that they'd made the deal about. I mean, you don't seem like you're stupid. So obviously, you know that under no circumstances are the Russians going to just give up their warm water port. It's not going to happen. Also, as an Orthodox Christian, you know that Crimea is where Vladimir the Great of the House of Rurik, converted all of the Rus to Christianity. So, I mean, that's an important area to the Russians. Very important for spiritual and military reasons. And it was the Ukrainians who tried to go back on the deal they had with Russia. Again, if you read anything that wasn't state-provided media, you would know. You would know. I mean, how many times did Russia have to get on Ukraine for stealing gas and shit like that? I mean, not to be mean, but Finch, you do know you live in the most corrupt nation in Europe, right? Like the Ukraine is the most corrupt nation in all of Europe, especially when it comes to sex trafficking and everything like that. So, I mean, I don't know, man. No, not after Russia, homie. Ukraine is the most corrupt nation in Europe. Your little rat-faced actor that the CIA put in charge of your country, he don't even know where half the money that the United States sent him is. Russia is part Europe and part not Europe. Two things can be true at the same time. Like Moscow and Arkhangelsk and all that, that's definitely Europe. But once you cross the Altai Mountains and everything, then it's Asia. You know, it's not that difficult. It's just like with Ukrainians, a lot of them from Western Ukraine are actually Polish. Whereas if you're from the rest of Ukraine, you're probably Russian. Interesting. Look at this. They sent me a baby dragon painting an Easter egg. Isn't that funny? That's adorable. A baby dragon painting an Easter egg. I guess at the end of the day, what I'm saying is Ukraine got played. Ukraine got played. And you were so happy at the thought of being part of the EU and being able to leave Ukraine and get jobs in Europe, that you allowed yourself to get played by American and English intelligence organizations. And then your leadership would not listen when people kept warning them. And eventually you got whacked. And now, hundreds of thousands of casualties later, you still think you're the good guys. There are no Ukrainians. There never were Ukrainians. Ukraine was never a country. The name Ukraine in Slavic doesn't even mean a country. It means borderland. You know, at one point, you guys were, half of you were part of the Polish-Lithuanian Empire, and the rest of your history, you were part of the Russian Empire, right? Like I said, Kiev was where Vladimir the Great ruled from. It was the capital of the Kievan Rus, which is why they're called the Kievan Rus. It was Kiev, Novgorod, and another one. Yeah, I told you what it means, borderland. It was never a country. It was always the borderland. You know, kind of like how in America, where I'm from originally, Appalachia, we have our culture and everything like that. And we're not like every other American. But at the end of the day, we're still American. We're still part of America. You guys have this weird fantasy that at one point you were your own people, but you never have been. You never have been. And, you know, sorry if, you know, that's bad news that you don't want to hear, but it is exactly what it is. You guys were never your own people. Never. Not in all of history. You're not Cossacks, because the Cossacks are from Donbass, right? And the Donbass was always Russian. You're not Eastern Romans, who were the ones who originally owned Crimea. I mean, literally, you're not actually a people. It's so funny, too. One of the first things Zelensky tried to do was make it illegal to speak Russian, as if Ukrainian isn't anything but a Russian frickin' dialect. I mean, that's all it is. It's a Russian dialect. It's not like it's an independent language. It's just Russian influenced by Polish. But I mean, the more important thing that you should be worried about and thinking about as Ukrainian is getting this war ended so that more Christians don't die. That's what you should be more concerned about. But you guys have allowed yourselves to be totally captured by your dictator government. No, I'm not smart. It's just that I watch news sources from other places than America, you know, like India and Portugal and places like that. And I read a lot of history because, you know, history is very important. And like I keep saying, but you don't want to hear it because you don't care. Every time a Ukrainian or a dialect is basically a language that is mostly a language, but with some local idioms in it. So Ukrainian is more like a dialect and an accent. They can understand you, actually. Absolutely. Yes. A lot of Russians can absolutely understand Ukrainians. I mean, Before the war, like 10 years ago, we had a Ukrainian student that came over on exchange. And I mean, he spoke Russian fluently. But then again, he might have been from Donbass. Nope. You can say nope, but I know Russian people personally who can watch the news and your people talking and tell me everything they're saying. So, but again, do you think it's cool that a non-Christian is keeping a war going that's killing tons of your Orthodox Slavic brothers? Do you think that's good? Because, I mean, Putin would have ended the war a year ago, but Zelensky wants to keep the war going. As a matter of fact, recently, out of the blue, which is why Trump kicked him out of the White House, out of the blue, the guy starts talking about we won't sign a peace deal unless we get Crimea back. It's like, you haven't had Crimea in 10 years. You're not getting it back. Sorry. It's not happening. You're also not going to be part of the EU or NATO. Sorry about your luck. I mean, Trump told your little rat-faced fake leader that if he didn't straighten the F up, we'd walk away. And if we walk away, you guys are just going to cease to exist because Russia is going to win. They're already winning on every front. They're going to win. The longer the war goes, the more land Russia takes, and Russia is not giving it back. I mean, I hope you understand that. They're not going to give it back. You're not getting the Donbass back. You're not getting Crimea. You'll be lucky to keep Kiev. And you're sitting here arguing after, like I said, Western intelligence agencies have tricked you into killing millions. A little while. Do you see what's on my desk, Bruce? I'll hold it up. But Finch here says he's from Ukraine, and we're having a you think you're fighting for your land. Yeah, I totally dig it. I get it. I get that part, Finch. But you have to understand, though, that what you call your land has never been your land. And Zelensky is not your president. Zelensky is Obama and Biden's president. They put him in charge. You do understand that, right? And he's financed by very powerful non-Christian organizations and owns a huge house in Miami and Tel Aviv. He's not your president. The CIA put him there. The CIA put him there. Do you not understand that? You're talking to an American, and I'm telling you, we put Zelensky in charge of you guys. He is not a Christian. He's Jewish. So, yeah, get over that. Zelensky is a Jewish guy. And the oligarch that finances everything Zelensky wants to do is another Jewish guy. The people didn't choose him. They had no choice. We put him in charge. And then a war was instigated that never would have happened under President Trump. And you guys are losing it. Horribly losing it. I mean, how many hundreds of thousands of your brethren have to die before you guys wake the hell up? You started a war. You were manipulated into it. If you wanted to hate anybody, it shouldn't be the Russians. It should be the Western scumbags that tricked you into fighting a war against your brothers. Because that's what happened. That's what happened. But you're too ideologically captured and you're too ignorant to see the big view. So you're going to keep hanging on to this weird Ukraine is a nation thing, no matter how many young Christian Ukrainians die. All so that Western powers can loot your country. And that's what's going to happen. And it's hilarious, too, how the mineral deal was signed. And then shortly after that, Russia offered to make a deal with the United States to mine all the rare earth metals in Donbass. They are the exact same people as your father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. Are you denying that you are related to the Kievan Rus? Is that what you're doing? Right? Are you denying that? You have nothing to do with the House of Rurik? Nothing? No? You somehow magically appeared in the middle of Europe and just decided that you were not related to anyone. I mean, are you Slavs? Answer me that. Are you Slavs? Kievan Rus is Russia, homeboy. Vladimir the Great, who ruled after Olga, was Russian, of the House of Rurik, which was actually Swedish. But so no, you don't get that history. No Ukrainian built Kiev. It was built by the Rus, the Vikings. So yeah, stop trying to steal other people's history. Man, your school system is really failing you. And I feel bad. Oh, yeah. Is he in favor of the Khazars? I don't know. Maybe he is a Khazar. I mean, he don't mind that his president is a freaking Khazar. And apparently he don't care how many Slavs get murdered in this war because the Ukrainian government's being stupid. Yeah, you're stealing history. There are no Ukrainians, okay? They never were. I mean, name me the Ukrainian tribe and where it came from. I mean, I'll wait. I'll wait all day. You know, I'll debate this for whatever. I mean, unless it becomes apparent to me that you're not arguing in good faith. But yeah. Okay, repeat question. I don't even know. Repeat the question. Okay, I got it. Okay. What is a Ukrainian and where do they come from? As a tribe, as a people, as a culture, where do they come from? Damn, this thing is gigantic, ain't it? Look at that. It's pretty crazy. Now I'll have to primer it up. And I've got this piece here, which I guess goes somewhere on it. Or is it just a piece of terrain? I don't know. Maybe I should have looked at the box better. Beep, beep, beep. My wife is making sausages and sauerkraut. There it is. Huh. Cool. I don't get it. Okay. If you ask me where the Russians come from, I would tell you that they come from the Vikings and the Slavs who intermingled, and become the Kievan Rus Empire. If I ask you, then where do the Ukrainians come from? What do you say? Ukraine? Too late. Too late, Bruce. It's glued together. Super glued. It's not your city. Kiev was founded by the House of Rurik. They were Swedes. They were Vikings. And they integrated with the local Slavs, who were not called Ukrainians. They were called Slavs. And they created the Rus. And then at a point, the Tsars moved the capital from Kiev to Moscow because it was more centralized to the empire. I think it's Ivan the Great that did that. So, no, here's the thing I'm telling you, Finch. You don't have a history. Everything you think is your history is actually Russian history. You don't actually have a history. I'm sorry. It's sad, but it is what it is. And the sooner you understand that you're not Ukrainian, you're Russian, the happier you'll be. That's funny, Bruce. That's funny. Yeah, I'm about done talking to the guy. I'm sure he's probably a really nice guy, honestly. And he's in a bad position because, his country's getting invaded. They've lost like 25% of the country, and they continue to lose. And, so many of their people are dying, and that has to suck. But that doesn't change the fact that there's history. And everything that he has said so far does not agree with history, right? I mean, which is my actual thing. You know, this is my history. Head down. Oh, speaking of that, did you see some people used AI to actually give models the appearance of having Down syndrome? And then they created like an OnlyFans thing, but it's if it's called Russia, it doesn't mean that it inherits Rus. Yes, it does actually. 100%. 100%. Saint Olga was Kievan Rus. Vladimir the Great was Kievan Rus. Yaropolk was Kievan Rus. All of the House of Rurik were Kievan Rus. And they moved the capital of the Russian Empire from Kiev to Moscow. That's what happened. Because Kiev is not very defensible anyway. So now, if you want to talk about old stuff, I mean, you guys allied with the no-no Germans in World War II. As soon as they came through, you guys jumped right on their penises. The Koya. And then the majority of the people who worked in the no German death camps were Ukrainian citizens. Ukrainians were absolutely the worst human beings in World War II. The so-called Ukrainians. who, like I said, have created a ethnic identity where there was none. Because when I keep asking you what is the name of your tribe and stuff, you can't say, because there is no name of your tribe. You're freaking Eastern Slavs, and you've been ruled over by the Rus since the beginning of time. There's never been a freaking Ukraine, ever. Bandera is not a hero. He was an evil man. Come on, dude. You're not helping your argument. See, if you're sitting here trying to argue that you're the good guy, but then you immediately turn around and you call somebody who was a straight up, murderous civilian killing, but he was one of them. Just like that dude in Canada that everybody stood up and cheered for. He fought the Russians during World War II in Ukraine. Yeah, he was a Banderist National Socialist. Of course he was for a free Ukraine, a free National Socialist Ukraine. That's what he wanted. That's why the Azov Battalion wears the broken cross and everything like that, and sports all of the National Socialist bullshit, because that's how they are. So again, you claim to be Orthodox, but you support a guy who is definitely not Orthodox, and your president is not Orthodox, and you hate your fellow Orthodox brothers. I don't think you're really too bright about things. He did not fight against the Germans. He allied with them. See, I don't know what the hell you're thinking, but you're wrong. The independent Ukraine that existed there for about a year or two only existed because the Germans allowed it to exist. They created it as a client state. And almost the vast majority of atrocities committed against civilians were committed by the Ukrainians. I mean, not that I'm defending the Soviet Union, because I'm not. I despise communists. But again, you still have to be true to actual history. You can't just make shit up. And right now, you're just making stuff up. So I am done talking to you about it. You can cope. Right? You can cope. One day when you're older, you're going to look back at everything that happened and you're going to realize you were wrong. And I hope that day comes pretty soon for you. Yeah. You can keep saying that, but you're not right. And like I said, you're becoming boring. It's like you obviously don't know shit. So I'm getting tired of talking to you about it. Hello, Bear. Or maybe. Hello, Bear. Azov forever, yes.
Yeah, what the fuck am I looking at here? What is this? I'm seeing this chant. It just looks insane.
You're looking at a guy who thinks the Azov Battalion are the good guys and thinks that during World War II, the Ukrainians were against the Germans.
No, they were not. They were with them fighting against the Soviets.
They were absolutely with them. But he's a young Ukrainian guy who somehow hasn't been drafted yet because, or he's a troll. Either way, though, I'm
a troll, or he's run off to the UK or whatever. Fuck,
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of them did run. They talk all that shit about defending Ukrainskia Slavia, but they're living in London. So, But how are you doing today, man?
Not bad. Just finished work.
Cool.
You know, it's life.
Oh, there's GM Cody popping in. Hey, GM Cody, how you doing, bro? How's life? How you living? I just did the one thing Bruce told me not to do, but it was before he told me not to do it. I glued it all together before I painted the individual pieces.
Well, that wasn't smart.
It'll be fine. But just talking about gaming and stuff. I mean, got into the Ukraine stuff, and that guy doesn't know anything about anything. So I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Well, I'm sorry you had to deal with that bullshit.
Oh, I don't mind. I don't mind.
Yeah, but still, sometimes it's nice not to have to deal with bullshit.
Oh, I would love to live in a world where, all I had to do is talk about whatever I'm painting or whatever role-playing game I'd love that world, but unfortunately that world does not exist.
Celery.
Because it's my own fault. I put Twitch on when I
I don't know why
broadcast.
you do that. I don't know why you do that.
I need to stop because
It baffles.
nothing good ever comes from Twitch.
Nothing.
It's like, I mean, any place that would allow Hassan Piker to hang out is not a place I should ever associate.
There you go. You answered your own question, son.
But I do. I don't know why.
Because I think there's a part of you that maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's a part of you that likes to try and sort of maybe try and educate some stupid people once in a while.
I just like people. I always have. And, I always hope that people will be. It's like someone coming in on Hobby Time and someone wants to discuss free power. Oh, God. I don't even want to get involved in that shit. That shit just pisses me off. And I am not super Mr. anything for Israel at all, but what they did on October 7th is unforgivable. So, if they had behaved themselves in a military manner and attacked military targets and stuff like that, I would have been like, oh, okay,
That's fair.
That's fair. They're fighting a war, whatever. But no, they wanted to kill a bunch of civilians, and I'm like, that's never good. It's never good. Not when we do
Crazy
it.
how that works out, huh?
Yeah, not when we do it. Not when anyone does it. And then people being like, "Oh, it's okay," because no. It's never okay. Whether or not you feel like you have to do it or not, it's still not good. It's like, but that's just my opinion.
It's your show, man.
What do I say about Russia is not our number one enemy. And if you knew anything about America, you would know that. Yeah, Russia's not our number one enemy. If you follow what's going on the news and everything, you can tell who our number one enemy is. Hell, Trump is talking about signing rare earth agreements with the Russians. So, I mean, and normalizing trade with Russia. China is the one that we're trying to isolate from the rest of the world because the Chinese do bad things. They steal people's. It's like you invent something and you work really, really hard to make it, and you want to sell it, and by the time you get to the market with it, the Chinese have already stolen your IP, and they're putting it out with slave labor, so you can never compete. And And that's just business for them. That's just how it is.
Chinese, very clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to tell you that he believes that Russia sees America as their number one enemy.
No.
No, Russia sees China as their number one enemy. Always has, always will.
Always has, always will. Yeah, I mean,
they're just playing nice right now with each other because, Trump. But trust me, if Russia could take over China, they'd do it in a fucking heartbeat.
Manchuria was once part of the Russian Empire.
Yeah.
And so was Finland.
Finland.
I was just talking to Satya today. He popped in before bed. I always say he, but I don't know. Satya, that could be a female.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, but I'm like, well, they never said, and I never asked. So
yeah, that's all fair.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, we're not enemy number one to the Russians. I mean, Americans visit there all the time. Reddit is proof enough that we don't have enough dead. Well,
yeah, but Reddit is still the best place to get porn.
Porn?
Dude, Reddit is crawling with porn. Like it's like, remember Tumblr used to be like the last, like, was like anything went. It was free fucking open season. Well, that's Reddit now.
Tumblr. I remember when Metaker used to like make fun of.
Hang on. Funny. Okay, learn some fucking history, kid. Go read a couple of books beyond the bullshit written the last 10 years and look at the history of Russia and China. They play nice because they're both communists, but they have a fucking river that has Red Army on both sides, Chinese or fucking Russian, and they throw snowballs and foul language at each other because they know that if someone fires off a shot, it's going to be World War III started by these two killing each other. Yeah. Learn some fucking history, kid. Jesus Christ. You know what? I wish we lost the fucking Cold War now. Now I really wish we lost it, so this entire fucking generation would have to understand what a fucking gulag is. Jesus Christ.
Well, be cool. It's all right.
Ah, man, I can't be cool anymore. My country's going to shit because of this type of bull crap.
Well, I'm sorry.
Happy, crappy, fucking lefty nonsense, Ukraine at all costs bullshit. Fuck Ukraine. Half them want to be European, half them want to be Russian. Fucking North Korea, South Korea them. East Ukraine, West Ukraine, problem fucking solved.
I think that's what's going to end up happening. But I'm sorry about, everything going on. It probably does suck. It must.
Well, it's just the uncertainty of knowing what the fuck's going to happen to our country now. Because this idiot, Irish citizen no less, gets fucking airlifted in to be for the fucking, Prime Minister.
For the Bank of England.
Worked for the Bank of England, worked for the fucking Bank of Canada. He's an international banker. He's World Economic Forum. He believes in climate change and net zero at all fucking costs. Canada produces less than 1% of all global carbon emissions. Therefore, if every Canadian were to become 100% green, all our corporations were super green,
it wouldn't matter.
Not move the needle by more than like a fraction of a percent. So now we have to live like assholes in this country with all these fucking mandates. You know how often they pick up my garbage in my neighborhood? Every 2 weeks. Every 2 fucking weeks they pick up the garbage. You know what summers are like in Montreal? 40 degrees Celsius with insane humidity. So it's like being in the Philippines.
Oh my
God.
God.
Can you imagine how much this city stinks in the summer with all that garbage waiting to be picked up? You got to keep it in your house because where else are you going to put it?
Well, I mean, maybe things will get better. From what they were saying on the news earlier, or Benny Johnson or something, your dude has called our dude and said, hey, let's work it out. And apparently he's catching a lot of shit from like the super far left guys up there because they voted for him thinking he was going to like be the ultimate Trump hater. And now that he's in office, he's like, "Hey, America, you want, make some deals here?"
Yeah.
And of course, we're going to be like, "Of course we do. I mean, you're our favorite northern of us country."
Yeah.
So
You were your favorite. What do you call it? Gay North Dakota.
well, I wasn't going to go there, Bear, because I understand that you're in a delicate place right now.
It's okay. I like that one. That one makes me laugh because I've been to
And
North Dakota and
now,
it
what
sucks.
was weird, and I don't think it will happen, but apparently Alberta's talking about F it.
Well, she just the premier of Alberta, Daniel Steele, not Daniel Steele, Daniel, whatever the fuck her name is. She just changed the rules on a bunch of things needed for citizens initiatives, including extending it from 90 days to 120 days to get enough signatures and lowering the signature count to like 10,000 instead of 100,000. So basically what she did was by protecting Alberta election laws, she created a loophole that allows all these citizen movements to go out and start collecting fucking signatures to see if they can get a referendum on Albertan independence. Smart lady.
Well, I mean, I don't think that we will absorb them. I think they'll just be independent.
No, I think Alberta would join the U.S. I think you guys would be fools if Alberta declared independence. You guys would be idiots not to make a deal and offer a chance to join the union.
Well,
because
never
Alberta's
underestimate
nothing but money.
America's ability to be stupid.
Yeah, but Alberta is like Montana with the world's largest oil reserves sitting underneath it and natural gas.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't underestimate our ability to do stupid shit.
That's fair. I will give you that fair shot on that. That's fair. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about happier role-playing things. Did you see my show from last night because my game got canceled?
I did not. I fell asleep early.
Well, I announced something last night, and I've been working on it.
I mean, I was waiting, and then I drifted off. My wife overfed me.
That's okay. So listen, here's how it works. I was a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about what I wanted to do, and I want to do a fantasy game, and I don't know what to do. And Victor Gorchev, my dear friend, said, you got to lean into what you are, and you're to everybody, you're the heroic guy, so you should do a heroic fantasy version of heroic is fantasy. And I thought about it, and I went, man, I hate being pigeonholed, number one. Number two, as much as I think heroic could, as an engine, fuel a good fantasy game, it's not what I want to do. But then I thought about it a bit more, and I realized, you know what, man? I am the heroic guy. Not in the sense of the heroic system, but I'm the guy always pushing for more heroic role playing and more, good guy stuff and not edgelordy bullshit and not this dark and depressing crap, but actual like heroism and nobility and stuff like that. So I will share an image with you. Please don't get up in arms that it was made with CGI, with the AI.
Oh, why would I care?
My amazing guy from Egypt is working on a vector of it for me. He's going to update it so it'll be actual art. But here, I'm going to share just this, and then I got another thing I'm going to share with you after. But I'm going to show you this first.
Look how international we are. Half the shit I have is from Kazakhstan.
Look at this, baby.
That is really cool.
Okay, wait. It gets better. One of the users on my Discord, this guy Thruxus, took that and then he made this with it. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to share another image with you. Hang on. And this pushed me over the top because it was like, A, it looks amazing, and B, I don't have to pay a fucking cover artist any bullshit.
So he mocked it up. Look at that.
Wouldn't you love to have that? Wouldn't you love to have that sitting on your fucking game shelf?
Yeah. Yeah, probably would. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I've been working on it while I was working my day job today. And I realized something. I've got all that work I did on Bastard Sword, which originally started as a D&D clone. And it was nothing but a piece of piss to start converting it over to being sort of a 5e Pathfinder first edition, third edition. And then I realized, you know what? I'm not going to do a 5e clone. I'm not going to do a Pathfinder clone. I'm going to take all the shit I like from all the D&Ds plus some of my own ideas and mash them all together. Because I've always said we don't need another fucking DX clone. We can live without another fucking DX clone. So I'm making a game called Valorous. The whole point of the game of Valorous is that you play valorous people, people who are there to defend against, evil and do the right thing, not live in the edge, not be morally gray, not be anti-heroes. If you're going to want to be an anti-hero, you better be fucking Han Solo. You know what I mean? You
It's
better
so
be that
funny
guy.
because Seth Skorkowski did a whole video on edgelords and shit like that.
Did he run recently?
Oh no, years ago.
Yeah.
But the one kind of metalhead that he pretends to be is like, okay, here's my character concept, and it was like super edgelord, and he's just like talking about, and he's like, why would anybody want to play that? And I remember loving the video because I was like, I know that guy.
Oh yeah.
As a matter of fact, before he joined Bubba's table, he was at my table.
Well, there you go. No, dude, I got a whole system in it where you have 2 trackable things that go from 0 to 10. One is called Valor, and the other is called Burden. And every 2 points of each one you get, if you pick up 2 points of Valor, you get a virtue. And the virtue is just a little descriptive that you can tag in play to have advantage on something, right? But when you have 2 points of Burden, you get a flaw. And that can be tagged against you to give you disadvantage on stuff because of that thing. But both of them together tie into something called a test of mettle, mettle. When your character has to do something like, let's say, I don't know, run into that burning house to save someone, well, they need to make a test of mettle. And you take their valor score and you take their burden score and you subtract them from each other. And if it's a positive, they get a bonus on that saving throw to go in and do the dangerous thing. If it's a negative, they get a penalty. And if they fail a test of mettle, they're setting themselves up for more sliding into the place they don't want to be.
I like that.
I can't wait to play test
it. You don't even need alignment because
alignment doesn't exist in this game. There's no fucking alignment. No arguing, no bullshit, no alignment.
So if the guy is constantly doing something, he could get the negative trait greedy.
Yes.
And then you, the DM, could use his greedy trait against him.
Yes.
To have him do tests to not be greedy. I love it.
Yeah.
That is such a good mechanic.
It's so simple. I wanted simple. Everything had to be simple. Hey, what's up, Robert?
Yeah, BRC was at the table last week playing his ranger.
Nice.
Trying not to get killed. He did a good job. He actually played 2 rangers because one of the other guys couldn't show up. And I was like, look, if he dies, he dies.
He dies. He dies.
To quote, what was his name? Draco?
Ivan Drago.
Yeah. They got a big Swedish guy to play the Russian guy.
Yeah.
What's funny is that was during the time period where like Fedor Emelianenko was doing things. They could have got Fedor. But let's be honest, Dolph Lundgren is awesome.
Well, I think I've told you this story before. I took a full force hammer fist from him to the eye.
Yeah, you said that at a movie.
Well, we were working on a movie together, yeah. And he got mad after I gave him some shoulder because he was pissing me off. And he hammer fisted me square in the fucking eye. And I took it like a man because that's what you do. Plus, I got that fucking Viking skull.
You're like, punk. Sounds like Ultima. I've never played Ultima 4.
Yeah, I've never played Ultima. I don't know.
Games like what he's describing, where your actions actually matter. And not just who you fight, but how you act.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. And I agree with you, Bear. I've said this before in old videos that don't exist anymore. I am so sick and tired of this edgelord bullshit. I like heroes.
Yes.
You're playing the game to be a hero, to be something more than maybe you have the capacity to be in real life. You want to be the good guy. Hey, Doc, how you doing, homie? At least if I play the game, I don't play a paladin, but I do play a lawful good fighter or knight that acts like a paladin without being a paladin.
There you go. I got to go throw my supper in the oven. I'll be right back. So you might want to throw the link up again because it's been a while since you put it up. And that
Okay.
fucking guy to score. Anyway, you know what I mean. I'll be back.
Yep. Yeah, I was wondering why Bruce didn't jump in. Even though I will have to go in a little bit because I can smell the sauerkraut cooking. But yeah, I love me some sauerkraut. That's a fact. So let me see here. What am I looking for? Yeah, but the guy I was talking, debating or whatever about, I have zero hard feelings against that guy. I understand how he would feel. And so, yeah, if I ever met him, I wouldn't be like a dick to him or anything. I get it. I get how it must feel to, be on that end of things, especially as an American, because sometimes we're not necessarily where we would like to be. Got to swallow a fistful of ibuprofen. Yummy. And so, yeah. So he's probably left, but I have no hard feelings for the guy. I totally get it, and hopefully one day in the future, after everything is calmed down, people can't join. That's okay, Bruce. That's okay. I still love you though. Hopefully one day in a decade or so, he'll be 33 and he'll be like, yeah, sometimes bad shit happens, Sometimes the most patriotic thing you can do is point out when your country is doing the wrong thing. Like mindless obedience is not what our founders expected of us. And I would say the same is true of our Canadian brothers too. It's like, and our Mexican comrades down south. It's like, you just try to be the best boy you can be, the goodest boy. But if your country's doing evil shit, I think you have a responsibility to be like, hey, that's some evil shit going on over here.
Hey, James, how's it going?
Better than you if you're eating a handful of ibuprofen. Hard day.
Yeah, which we don't even have, it turns out. Oh, it's been brutal. They closed this down for like a week because they had to do some work, and they're more than taking it out of our asses the last 2 weeks.
Because you got to play catch up with all the bullshit.
We're just getting the shit beat out of us. Although no Saturdays, because apparently they did it enough that corporate in Atlanta yelled at them.
Like, need to leave these guys alone.
Why are you giving these guys overtime? Make them do twice the work during the day.
Yeah, just make them do twice as work during their normal shift.
Oh.
So how you been, man?
Old, beat up, tired, but other than that, pretty decent, I guess. How about you? I've gone in a little bit.
Same. My wife left it to me to figure out what we're having for dinner tonight. So we're having Polish sausage with sauerkraut.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Kielbasa? The sauerkraut like a long time till it turns almost brown.
I haven't had that in a long time. That's a favorite of mine, actually.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So pretty excited about that. And then otherwise, just hanging out with Bear, chatting with Chat. It got a little debatey earlier on, but...
Ooh, anything fun?
No, just a guy claiming to be from Ukraine, wanting to argue about the war and And I was just like, exactly. It's like, come on, guy. You know,
If you're from Ukraine, how come you ain't dead yet? You're obviously not very good at this.
I asked him because he said he was 23, and I was like, you're 23. Why are you not on the front lines? And he's like, oh, they don't start drafting until 25. And I'm like, that's funny because I've seen pictures of people being snatched right off the damn street.
Yeah. They're taking like 60-year-old men. I think they'll go for a 23-year-old.
But the reality is, Bear pointed it out. I hadn't even thought about it because I don't know. I guess my brain doesn't think that way. That the reality is, the guy talking all the shit probably lives in London.
Yeah, likely
because he fled the country
like a cam girl.
So, whatever. But Bear just showed us a book mock-up, and
he knows he was there last time we were talking about it.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, I really love that logo.
And
but did you see the book mock-up Thruxus did with the fucking
cat
border and stuff
next to it?
No, he did a different one.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Hang on, I'll show it again. I'm happy to show it again because it looks fucking amazing.
Right.
Bro, I'll show you a different angle on it. He did 2.
This guy's doing all kinds of different angles, even.
Damn. Well, he did it with CGI, so you can't fault him. So this is the original one, sharing to James right now.
Oh, damn it. Glue on my hand.
Sorry, buddy.
Nope, I got it.
So this is the original one he did, which looks beautiful.
It does.
And I'm telling you, like, I'm 100% sold. That's what it needs to be. And then the second image he did was a little more artistic, but it's still fucking cool as fuck. Needs work, but it's cool as fuck. So I showed these.
It just looks good.
Well, I showed these to my guy in Egypt who does all my vector art for me from stuff I create. And he's like, I can make those frames for you as vectors so that when you come ready to mock up your cover, they're ready to go. And I'm like, perfect. That's what I need.
Yeah,
so
I really like that scroll work.
Sorry?
I really like that scroll work. Are you going to do that like faux leather cover?
Well, I'm going to color it so it looks like fake leather for sure. I'm not going to actually do fake leather. You know how expensive that is?
Yeah, I was thinking that's probably pricey.
Jesus Christ.
I was thinking, though, it's not even, it's just the combination of the lettering and then the symbol is so inspirational. Like,
thank you.
Like you look at it and you're like, okay, we're going to go whip some ass. We're going to save some princesses and slay some dragons. And
yes, it's majestic looking. It really captures the feel.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm not trying to, glaze you extra hard or anything over here, but yeah, that's beautiful.
Well, thank you. And that matters in a big way to me. Because I'm really, really excited about this. I've been working on it between work, day job shit. Like every minute I had a chance to work, I was working on it.
Right.
Doc, I'm going to send you the WIP documents. It's chaos. I'm sorry. It's chaos, but there you go. I sent you that. You can take a look at it. James, cool. I'm going to send it to you on Discord. Read it as you want. If you don't want to read it, that's fine. It's a living document, so I'll be updating it and changing it as we go and getting closer to finishing it. But my goal is to have this game ready to go by the end of May.
Nice.
By the end of May is my goal. Now I just got to find you. There you are, DM James. I'll send you the link. Boop. There you go.
I just heard it click on my side.
And I'll take you to the Google Doc. You can take a look, read it as you see fit. And,
so on James' next semi-annual checking of his Discord.
I have the most boomer excuse too. I mean, if you want to hear it.
Sure.
You know how I said I got a new computer so I could play the game I wanted to play because my old computer wouldn't? But now on the new computer, which I'm on so much because I'm playing that game I want to play, I don't remember my password for Discord. So I can only check my Discord when I'm literally in here on this old piece of shit. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I need to stop being a goofball and actually fix it. But the problem is, every time I sit down with my new computer, I'm like, Valheim. Then I'm
There's what Windows are you running?
This one I think is 10, but it's fully updated.
I know
And
on
the other
11,
one I think is like whatever the newest one is.
I don't know about 10. I know on 11 there's a thing you can go in that'll record all your passwords.
Yeah, the new computer has that. But it still means I have to actually at some point log on and put the stuff in. So, yeah, I think from now on, what I'm going to do, Bear, is if I do a live stream, I am not adding Twitch.
Yeah, it's a big fucking mistake.
Because the juice is not worth the squeeze.
No,
For
sir.
every nice person I've met on Twitch, there's 100 that are just complete idiots.
People ask me all the time, they're like, why don't you set up a Twitch account and then you can stream your stuff to Twitch? You make more money. I'm like, A, I don't show my tits. B, I don't have a hot tub. And C, Twitch is full of fucking losers.
And
what exactly is Twitch? Is it like one of those like short
No.
films things, or what is that?
Twitch started out as a place where you could stream yourself playing video games and people could watch, and then it was really a thing. So think like PewDiePie and stuff like that, right?
Oh, okay.
But then at some point, some ladies realized that if they got on Twitch and talked a bunch of shit wearing low-cut shirts, that a bunch of simps would send them a lot of money. And then the bread tubers jumped on, and that's basically all of these super rich, fun communists. And just Twitch went to shit, you know, because the whole point of Twitch when it was invented was play video games. Other people can watch you play video games and comment.
Yeah.
I mean, Asmongold used to go on Twitch and play freaking World of Warcraft all the time. That's how he got famous, actually. And he's the #1 Twitch streamer right now. But you had people like Pokemon, and they'd get on and play whatever. Pokemon. And then they would be relatively cute, and they would wear. You had what's her name, who got banned like 100 times for showing her tits off. Amaranth.
Yeah, Amaranth. Yeah.
But she showed them. She just went to OnlyFans. So, you know, it's like, whatever.
Well, you're required to do that.
And it's like every time Twitch would make a rule to stop the porn type shit, they would come up with these chicks are smart. They are geniuses. Because it's like, you're not allowed to do this thing. The next thing you know, the big meta in Twitch was hot chicks sitting in a hot tub in bikinis, drinking champagne and answering simps questions for money. Yep. And when they tried to get rid of the hot tubs, it became another thing and another thing. And there's always a chick out there who's got an angle on something. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And that's just what Twitch is. Now you know more than you want to.
Yeah, I've avoided social media like the plague. I was on Facebook for a while. It was disastrous. And I said goodbye to all that. I've never even looked at Twitter. Never even gave it a glance.
I go on Twitter. Hey, what's up, Daryl? I'm glad you're having fun with your lore. Creating your own world and your own lore can be, for a dungeon master or role-playing guy or whatever, one of the most satisfying parts of the hobby.
I concur.
I mean, you know, especially if your players playing your world and they're all like, holy shit, and they get into it too. I mean, you know, you got them. Me, unfortunately, my homebrew setting, I just stole Kiev and Roos mythology and twisted it to D&D. So everyone's got a Russian name, but otherwise, it's basically Baptism of Fire, except set further east. But right now I'm running Greyhawk, and I found a tremendous deal on the 4 maps from the Dragon magazine.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to have to buy a poster holder big enough.
Where'd you get them from?
eBay.
How much?
It was like $30.
Not bad. I think they're like, I think it's Paizo still sells it on their website, brand new, eh?
I tried, and
Yeah,
these
there's
are
a
unopened, never used, blah, blah, blah.
nice.
I
Yeah.
looked on Paizo's website. I couldn't find them.
Hang on, I'll get you the link, baby.
Yeah,
Well, I mean-
somebody's put out a PDF of a really high quality big poster size one.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that. That's really good. But so now I'll have to find, maybe Walmart will have it, a giant freaking poster thing. So I can put all 4 of them in it and have this massive.
Yeah, I used to have a massive map collection. I loved making maps. I loved maps. I used to collect all the those fold out maps they used to give you in the National Geographics, like the historical ones, like Celtic Europe when they rolled all. I had them all framed all over my walls. I slowly lost them over the years moving.
Dude, I spent so many years when I was like between 13 and 17 just drawing random dungeons. It's like I must have spent every penny I could earn turning in pop bottles and stuff back when you could turn in a glass ball for a dime, buying packs of graph paper. And back in like the early mid 80s, graph paper wasn't just everywhere. I had to actually go to a stationery
find a
store.
Yeah,
stationery
me too.
store.
Yeah.
I
It
miss
was
stationary
crazy,
stores so much. There was one called Cohen's in the town I grew up in. It was this great stationery store. They had everything there. They had all the weird little things. I loved going into stationary stores and just
man.
like looking around.
We had such a good one, and they sold something I haven't even seen since back in the day. But they sold, it cost like $1.50 back then. But it was a 3-foot by 3-foot sheet of paper, graph paper, with 4 squares per inch. So this was like a poster size piece of graph.
Very nice.
And man, I would get that shit, and I would just be like making these mega dungeons and shit. It's like, because it was just so fun. You draw your little box. And you put the little box that equals the door, because I was using the BX, map key. But then your brain's going nuts. Like, what's in here, though? You know what I mean? And just such a great creative outlet, mapping stuff. I was like 45 years old before I realized that rivers don't branch.
They do. This is the bifurcation of rivers is a true thing. It's just there's a couple of places in the world where the bifurcation actually both ends reach the sea, which is
right.
Weird. In general, one will die off or they'll rejoin, right? But like where I live, the island of Montreal, the St. Lawrence River bifurcates around us for 60 kilometers. That's
right.
At least 2 hexes on a game map, right? So you can do that.
You can, but I realized, I forget who I was watching, that rivers typically join, but they don't separate. Typically. So if you've got like 4 rivers winding their way down, you can have them all meet up.
Oh, yeah.
And then have like the Trident in Game of Thrones and shit like that, And then, of course, cities are always going to be next to water in a medieval setting, unless there's some amazing reason for it not to be. And it's like I think he's got a YouTube channel, and he used to just map shit all the time. And I watched him, and he gave out there was 7 basic rules of what should be near what. Now, granted, it's a fantasy game, and you can do whatever the hell you want. If you want to put a swamp right next to a desert, knock yourself out.
By the way, I just checked. They don't have them anymore on Paizo at all. Seems like they either sold. They must have sold out. It was a limited run that they had in the warehouse.
Right.
Because I need to replace mine, but I guess I never will now. So you got the good one on eBay, fucker.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Well, this map, the guy was selling all 4 of them for less than a lot of people were selling one of them.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's crazy. People are
So
insane.
I was like, okay, I'll do that. We'll knock that out. And so I'm super excited for them to come in, but then I'm going to have to lay them out on the table and measure it all and figure out, I still honestly, probably tomorrow, instead of streaming or anything like that, I will spend the whole day emptying this room. I've got like a giant plastic airtight Cambro type thing in here. And I just need to, like this table, I need to clear everything on it off and then figure out if I'm going to carry it outside and lean it against the garage wall or what I'm going to do. Because I'm not going to play it until Hungar visits. So, and also, like I was telling Bear, I need to take a bunch of pictures of my 40K stuff because the guys that want to buy it are requesting more detailed images. You know what I mean? Because I just took a picture of the army and said, here's and now they're all like, hey, can you take a picture of this or that? Madison, Jefferson, and Gallatin Rivers. Nice. I lived near the Cumberland River. I don't know if any rivers join into it, but a lot of creeks do. Because when you live in the mountains, it's like the area between every mountain's a damn creek. You know what I mean? It's just how it is. It's just water's always coming from somewhere. So I get what you're saying, though. And I'll tell you what, I won't go swimming in the Cumberland, but I'll go fishing. Yeah, I got no problem going fishing there. You get some crappies, some smallmouth bass, some stuff like that. But now I'm on the Yellowstone. Well, let's hope it don't explode on you.
Well, I think
Yellowstone
the reality is if it explodes, we really won't have much time to worry about it.
Hey, that's like I was telling somebody, I was like, if the news came out and they said there was an asteroid that was going to hit the planet and that's just it, I think I would say my prayers and then sit down with my wife and have a drink. Because what else are you going to do? You know what I mean? I guess you can run around and rampage and rage against the dying of the light. But I mean, if we're going to get hit by a 10-foot by or a 10 mile by 10 mile thing whipping through space, there's really nothing you can do. It's going to hit, you'll instantly be done. And okay, so you might as well hang out with your loved ones, have a time, say some repentance if that's something you're into, and maybe drink a nice glass of scotch or something. If your lady's into it, maybe knock a quick one off real quick, just for good old time's sake. Cumberland, 500 feet from your door. Nice. Where I am, it's further away, but not that far away. It's like a 15-minute drive. But then if I want to go to the falls, it's like an hour plus drive.
Yeah, I live like 20 minutes from the Swanee River.
I know where that is. I've drove by it like multiple times. Well, by drove, I mean I've rode by it while my wife drove. Yep.
Way down up on the Swanee River.
You know who always was singing that shit? Bugs Bunny.
Why do you think I did that weird accent?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what was up, but Bugs Bunny really liked the Swanee River.
Especially for a rabbit from Brooklyn.
Yeah, wise guy, eh?
Yeah, wise guy, eh?
Of course, you realize it's me, Thwop.
Yeah. I love the one, which I don't think they show anymore, where Bugs Bunny's like walking through the north and it's like desertous, cracked,
Oh, and you
like
see the
nothing like,
Mason-Dixon line.
and you
It's
see
all
the Mason
nice.
Dixon line, it's just lush and beautiful. And Yosemite Sam's dressed up like a Confederate officer, and he's like, "Get out here, you cotton bagging or carpet bagging rabbit." It's like, how you doing, Mr. Fanny? I wouldn't worry about any of that conversation. It's gone. Now we're talking about games and Bugs Bunny. Who had a game?
Yeah, there's a lot of the old Warner Brothers cartoons you are never going to see again. They were
I'm
the
pretty
edge
sure
lords
Bugs
of their
Bunny was
day.
in Tunes, though, wasn't he?
Was
Yeah,
what?
but Looney Tunes was Warner Brothers.
Yeah, but I mean the role-playing game. Wasn't there a role-playing game where Bugs Bunny
Was
was
there?
in it?
No, there's Toon, which is where you can play Bugs Bunny like stuff, but there was no. I don't think there was ever an official Bugs Bunny role playing game.
Okay. But because I remember seeing Tune, and I actually almost bought it, but then I didn't because I don't know why. Three Forks, isn't that where Sergeant Alvin York is from? I know Alvin York lived in Tennessee, but he went to Kentucky to drink. So he lived that close to Kentucky that he could ride his horse. The other thing, which could be folklore or true, is he is on his way to kill somebody riding a mule, and a lightning bolt come out of the sky and hit his rifle and knocked him off the mule, but it didn't kill him or the mule. And that's when he decided to become a teetotaler pacifist, because he felt like the lightning melting his rifle was a sign. And then he went to World War I, and when his unit got cut down by a unit of German machine gunners, he decided he couldn't stand by anymore, and he somehow captured like 300 Germans or something by himself. But they say when he was a kid, he was so full of piss and vinegar, at a full run on a horse with two pistols, he could carve his initials in a tree, A-Y in a tree, as he was riding by it.
I don't believe that for a hot fucking second.
I'm not telling you you have to.
I'm good because I ain't buying.
But apparently he used to win all the turkey shoots in that whole area. But he would go to this bar that had a line marked through it. Yep, Gobble Nerdy Ogre knows. And on one side of the line was Tennessee, and on the other side was Kentucky, through a building. And on the Kentucky side, you could drink. Yeah, they finally got rid of the dry county thing that where I lived, because the cops and the moonshiners that were in league with each other finally died or went to prison. Because that's what it was. The only reason where I grew up was a dry county is the moonshiners were paying off the cops. So the cops were making a lot of money off of every bit of alcohol that was being moved through. And they were making sure, the sheriff was making sure it stayed a dry county. Because, I mean, it's in his financial interest. But now there's a bar on every corner, really.
That's why the Meadowlands in New Jersey, that whole big complex, is out in the middle of a swamp, because Rutherford wouldn't give them a liquor license. So they're like, okay, they just moved it like a mile down, right outside of town.
Now, one thing I'm happy to say is the town near where I live, which they consider a city, even though it has literally a quarter of the population of the town I currently live in. Because I don't live in Orlando. I live in a suburb of Orlando. We have 75,000 people in this suburb, right? Somerset, Kentucky has 20,000 people. And they consider that the city, you know? And but they do have a Culver's. So, I mean, that's awesome, right? You can go get a butter burger and some frozen.
I've never eaten at one of those.
They're good. For fast food, they're a little on the expensive side, but they're really good. Apparently, they're from Minnesota or Wisconsin, so you get fried cheese curds and Wisconsin food. But they cook their burgers in butter, and then they serve them, you know, however you want them. They got great onion rings. They do cheese curds. And they sell this thing called a concrete mixer. And instead of ice cream, it's like frozen custard mixed with, like, I like mine chocolate malted. But, you know, you can get cheesecake. And, I mean, yeah, it's a good 10,000 calories a whack, though. I mean, so if you're worried about your weight, now, you know, Culver's ain't the place for you. Because yeah, it's good though. And they got one up there. And Cody lives 500 feet from the Cumberland River. And another interesting detail to me, which I've said before, is the Cumberland River on average is 350 to 400 foot deep. Whereas the Ohio River is on average 40 foot deep. Isn't that nuts?
Is that the one that caught on fire?
No. I think
I'm thinking of Cleveland.
What's the river up in Cleveland? The Ohio River is the river that separates Ohio from Kentucky. And yet it's legally part of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Because it wasn't named for the state of Ohio. It was named for the tribe of Indians that live there. But yeah, it's Kentucky's police that patrol the Ohio River. But it's a relatively shallow river for up there. Now in Florida, the Swanee River is, I'd say, on average about 9 feet deep.
Yeah, it's not. It's long. It isn't. It's not really deep.
It's just a deep area running through a swamp. That's all it is.
Well, Florida is a river. Sucks, but that's what it is.
Yeah. Lots of microbreweries up there. Here in Florida, I mean, we've got a whole area by Tampa called Ybor City and also Cigar City or whatever. And they must put out like 100 IPAs. One of them's literally called Florida Man, and it's like 8.8% alcohol. IPA beer. And it tastes like lemonade because it's got so much hops in it that it's like, it's got that citrus thing going on.
Yeah, it's almost like a mead.
Yeah, I mean, it's some serious shit. Yeah, bull sharks go right up the Mississippi or any river in Florida. I mean, you know, if you jump into any freshwater in Florida, there's either going to be an alligator, a crocodile, or a bull shark in it. Guaranteed. I mean, you know, unless it's a swimming pool. And even if it's a swimming pool, we've all seen the pictures. Guy takes a picture of his swimming pool, and there's like a 9-foot alligator just hanging out.
Hey, how you doing?
The one I saw that blew me away was back in the 80s. It was a picture, it was in a magazine, and it was from Florida. And there was the alligator sitting beside the pool, but there was a white, fluffy tail of a cat.
Oh.
So it had snapped on the cat, right? But the tail had gotten caught on its tooth, so it just had this like, it was like when like metal guys used to put those ear clips on with the feathers, you know, it was like that. It had this like metal, it was insane. Like, wow. Someone's Persian or Himalayan got fucked, you know?
I remember when people used to put the clips with the feathers on, and I also remember when people used to get the bandanas and tie them around their knee.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That was like 80s hard rock guys, you know. Especially the most popular one was the Japanese imperial flag.
Yep.
That was the one.
I had that one.
Yeah.
And all the girls were wearing leg warmers for a couple of years, I remember.
And nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yep, you had a lot of the leg warmers, the Jordache, and everyone that could had, what do they call it? Feathered hair.
Oh,
yeah. I had fucking feathered hair, dude.
Too.
I mean, it was just like the thing back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's funny is there's a commercial, or not a commercial, but an advertisement. And it's this kid, and he's like, why would I want to hang around in the streets when I could be here playing D&D with my friends? And it's so 80s. Like the dude's wearing like, you know, the feathered hair and the whole 9 yards. And he's just kind of leaned up against the counter. And it's just like, ugh. You know, I lived in Florida in those days. Yeah, man. It was, I mean, I can't talk shit about Florida. Florida's been good to me.
White Castle, George mentioned. I loved White Castle, although I had to give it up eventually because it was just like my
White
intestines
Castle?
would be in an uproar for like days afterwards. Yeah, we don't have anything. We have that horrible Crystal
Burger
down here. That's awful.
Crystal Burger's the south, White Castle's the north.
Yeah, Crystal's awful.
But in Somerset, Kentucky, there's a White Castle on the north side of the town and a Crystal on the south side of the town.
There was a place in Eastern New Jersey, this big intersection that had 3 White Castles on it. Because there was one that had been there a long time. They decided they were going to build a new one in the same spot. So they built the lot and they said, we'll keep it open because we're doing so much business while we're building the new one. And by the time they opened the new one, they were both constantly filled. So they're like, fuck it, we'll keep them both. And they eventually added a third one. So it's just White Castle, White Castle, White Castle.
Man.
And then like one McDonald's on the fourth corner.
I forget what was there.
Culver's was Wisconsin. Yeah. Well,
it was something weird.
Know, to be fair, I mistake Wisconsin and Minnesota all the time. It's like, you know, BRC is from Gary, Indiana.
God damn.
Yeah. The number one place to dump dead bodies. That's the thing about Gary. Gary, unfortunately, gets called the murder capital of the world, when in fact, it's really just the place to dump bodies in the world. Because you're in Chicago, you whack some people, you drive them down to Gary and dump them off, you know? And then
not
Gary,
like there's anybody there to see you.
You know? Then the people in Gary are like, what?
Yeah, Gary's not without crime, though, dude.
Oh, no. Gary's rough. Rough area. There's a YouTuber that drives around like the worst cities in America. And like he's got like a camera on the car and stuff. And he drove through Gary.
13 people watching, 3 likes on this video. Come on now.
Lazy bastard.
That ain't right.
Maybe they don't like it. They're like, I hate this guy. He has insulted my, I don't know, Ukrainian brothers or something. So
That's fair.
He can kiss my ass. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you know, I get it. Like I said, I'm not even mad at the Finch guy. I get it, you know. Everybody wants to, you know, whatever. But like I said, you know, patriotism doesn't mean being blind when your own country is being a dick. You know. At least in my opinion.
Hey, okay, you reprobates.
Oh, look who's here.
Yeah.
The walking advertisement for birth control. How you doing?
Hey, not bad there, Bear. Not bad. Not bad. I see everybody's favorite Kerry got elected up there in Canada.
We're not talking about that, dude.
You're practically in Canada anyway. You're lucky.
It's not happening. We're not having this conversation, motherfucker.
Yeah, don't worry, Bear. I talked to Greg Gillespie the other day, and he's righteously pissed too. He's just like, these fucking idiots.
Dude, the word I had Tuesday night, I had an author on for my show that I've had on many times, and he congratulated me. He was like, "Oh yeah, I can't. Right? Congratulations, you guys." I'm just like, we don't. Because I didn't want to break his sweet leftist heart and go, no. It's not congratulations. It's the death of my country.
But
Gillespie and I were having a conversation. I said, "Now, what do you think the odds are that Manitoba westward will form a new country called Western Canada, and everything on the east side will be fucked up as all hell?"
Well, we're not talking about that because I'm going to go off.
what
So
I
we're
was
not
saying
talking about
is, instead, gay North Dakota, we should give them Minnesota, and they can call it gay South Alberta.
No,
Except Minnesota attaches to Ontario, so there'd be no connective tissue for us, right?
Okay, so gay Southern Ontario.
Well, that's just like gay Northern Ontario, so it all works out. Right?
Yeah, I mean, nobody would.
You ever want to know why this fucking happens every time we have a chance for real fucking change in this country? It's called the city of fucking Toronto. If you look at a map of Ontario from the electoral votes, most of them are conservative. Toronto's just this big splotch of red with like 30 seats or 40 fucking seats. You know what I mean? So just once Toronto's done voting, who gives a fuck what everybody else votes? They've won the election.
That's why I'm saying that I have a feeling it's going to be called Western Canada and Eastern Canada pretty soon.
No, what'll happen is basically Alberta's going to vote to secede, and then if your country's smart, they're going to offer them fucking statehood right away without a fucking hint, and they'll take it. Alberta will take it, and they'll become Alberta the 51st state, and then Saskatchewan will be like, "Hi, would you like us to grow some wheat and canola for you?" And then they'll be like, "Come on in, 52nd state, how you doing?" And then Manitoba will be like, "We should join them." They'll be like, "No, we're Canadian," and then they'll fight over that. And British Columbia will go, "Fuck all y'all, we're British Columbia. We don't need any of you fuckers."
Yeah, we make enough money on tourism and whatnot.
I was speculating with Greg. I said I wouldn't be surprised if Yukon decided to say fuck the goddamn Canadian government. We'll be voting out too, and they'll go join Alaska.
Yeah, you never know, man. Anything could happen right now. The last 10 years did a lot of damage to my country, a lot of damage. And that they're continuing the policy with a new face, but the same bullshit is a sign that this country has a suicidal tendency.
You'll get your carbon tax back. You'll get your carbon tax back.
Oh, it'll be back. Watch, his first budget has to come out within 90 days. Yeah. When he drops his first budget, the carbon tax will be back. Watch.
I'm worried about it being worse. He seems like Trudeau with like half a brain.
Well, he's basically, first of all, he's a citizen of Ireland. That helps. Second of all, he's part of the World Economic Forum. He believes in net zero emissions. He's part of that climate change cult of fucking, oligarchs, right?
Retards.
Yes. So he'll bankrupt this country as fast as humanly fucking possible.
Take me back.
Yep.
Do you guys ever see this anymore?
The bull.
See that?
Is that Schlitz malt liquor?
The bull. Schlitz malt liquor? The bull.
Oh my dear Lord. I discovered this at the store the other day, and it will be imbibed now.
I used to drink that stuff as a kid, and it was like, okay, here I am, 18 years old. What can we afford? Schlitz.
Lando Calrissian used to drink the hell out of it.
No, he drank 445.
Yeah.
So this is a new fig that they came out, and I kind of went with the website painting that I saw on it. I'm not really as good as I'd like to be. I need to learn how to blend a little better according to the camera. But here it looks a little less sharp.
Well, nothing ever looks great under camera, though.
No, it doesn't. This camera is kind of
Speak
a
for yourself.
This is King Fungus. So
nice.
If I ever have a Zugmoiti campaign, I'll pop out.
So James, I know I'm going to get a bunch of shit now because I'm hanging out with some conservatives. I'm getting blasted here in Minnesota because, supposedly I'm a homophobe and a bigot now. So I mean, just like,
well, because you hang out with people who aren't leftists, you're now that. Well, you can point to me and say I'm a Canadian centrist. I'm a Canadian centrist. If that helps.
Fair. If you're not on Reddit 30 hours a day, then you've obviously left the Wi-Fi tribe.
Well, as I was saying earlier, it's a great place for porn of all factors.
You know, Saskatchewan could declare independence and just become like a First Nations country.
I would love that because there's nothing in Saskatchewan worth doing except for drilling for oil.
Okay. All right, motherfucker.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
First of all, no. You
trying
poke
to
the bear,
insult
you get
Canada,
the bear, motherfucker. That's how that works. Saskatchewan's one of the nicest fucking places in this country. The people there are super friendly. They're very community oriented. They play baseball, softball, hockey. They work together on their farms. They help each other out at all fucking times. They are the salt of the earth people of Canada. They are based on Hungarians and Ukrainians who migrated to Canada and were told, well, go west and we'll give you land. Went west and went, Jesus, this looks just like the plateau of Asia. We're going to farm the shit out of this place and create an entire farming industry out there. They're amazing people. The only problem is it's flat as fuck. And as we've said in this country many times as a joke, Saskatchewan, the only place where you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. Yeah, he ain't coming back.
Bear.
That's
I've been
Nebraska.
across there enough
Like
times.
North Dakota.
No, North Dakota's hillier than Saskatchewan.
North Dakota has hills. I've driven through Saskatchewan on my way, went into North Dakota. It was like, holy fuck, these are almost mountains by comparison. They put curves in the highway every X amount of kilometers on purpose, not because it has to go around anything, just to keep you awake while you're driving.
Oh yeah.
I'm not joking. That's like
That
legit.
there is absolutely true about that because I've been across there a number of times in a semi truck, and let me tell you what.
I love
I believe you.
about it.
I grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which it's in the valley. You're either like this or you're like this. Those are your options. There was a road.
Saskatchewan, you're like this.
Hold on.
Yeah.
There's a road for 5 miles. 5 miles straight. No hills, no curves, straight. Had the most accidents. Every morning you turn on the radio on your drive, there was at least one accident on that road.
Now imagine like a few 100,000 square kilometers of that.
I can
You know
imagine.
what I mean?
Like I said, I totally believe you. I mean, that was just 5 miles.
I was just wondering if like the lore from Shadowrun is coming true. Like,
Yeah, sorry, my apologies.
Be more specific.
650,000 square kilometers is the size of Saskatchewan.
Shadowrun, like the United States and Canada join, but then the South gets mad and secedes, and then the Native Americans form their own countries. It's
Well,
like,
now,
I believe it.
it's like,
I'm
okay.
thinking. I'm thinking Rifts, more specifically Chaos Earth,
No one gives a shit about Palladium.
because here's the thing: they have NEMA. That's the Northern Eagle Military Alignments.
No
where
one wants to hear your stupid Vietnam
where
stories.
Canada, the U.S., and Mexico basically
Canada.
combine their alphabet mafia guys into one force to combat, human trafficking and drug smuggling and all this other shit that's going on. And with Trump in there trying to woo over Canada to making them the 51st state and threatening Mexico with just walking in there and taking over the place. It's
Well,
a
the good thing about
possibility.
Mexico is, listen, the good thing about Mexico is they're not in NATO, so you can invade them and no one's going to give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like we haven't invaded them 3 times already. Historically speaking, I mean. But hey, just think about this, Bear. One of your favorite Canadians lives in Toronto.
Wolverine?
Huh?
Wolverine's a fictional character, you fucking dope.
Wow.
Who lives in Toronto? I mean, I can think of many, but which one are you referring to?
Justin.
Oh, fuck off. Like, seriously, is this just like, see how much we can rile up Bear tonight? Is that the game we're playing here, boys?
Here's the thing. It's
Like
not
a
hard.
two-stroke motor. Once you get going, Barry, just
Really
put a
not a
little
hard
gas
thing to
on it,
do.
and you're off to the races, man.
Well,
I mean, it's not.
I might be a
difficult,
little
Bear.
stressed because my country's going to shit.
Yeah, we probably should show a little bit more like empathy and stuff.
Hey, Bear, I was
What?
talking to I was talking to Gillespie. I said, and he was buying a bottle of vodka, and he was like $27 here. He says, "Oh yeah, in Canada this would be nearly $100." And I was like, "What?" And I said, I gotta get into liquor smuggling like the old good old days, like Capone and those guys. I said, I gotta get a boat, a motor yacht up on the North Shore of, Minnesota, and just travel to Canada and offload a few hundred cases every time. I'd probably be a millionaire in a couple of years.
Yeah, apparently Capone, one of the things they do is wait till the dead of winter and then drive Model T trucks full of liquor from Canada to the United States, Chicago or whatever.
So Lake Champlain
go through the ice.
So Lake Champlain, which is there, just south of me, was where most of this stuff happened. In fact, the bottom of Lake Champlain has probably the most amount of smuggler boats sunk with unopened bottles at the bottom of it.
Uh-huh.
And it was the Seagrams family that were doing it. Okay, so the Seagrams were like the big smugglers. They were running booze down there during Prohibition like motherfuckers, and they made an empire out of it. Now they're legit. They're Seagrams. Oh my God, la la la, woo woo. But at the time, they were just a bunch of Jewish mob boys. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, back in the day, people thought it was classy to order like a 7 and 7, Seagrams and 7.
Yeah,
that was a thing.
Oh yeah.
I've never had one. But, whatever.
No, now it's like, I wonder how much are a pack of cigarettes up in Canada now?
$20.
Really? Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Australia, they're like 40.
Jesus.
Guys, I keep telling people this. I told people this all through COVID. Australia is test case 1, Canada is test case 2, and the UK is test case 3. And this is where they're preparing to see what they can get away with before they try and spring it on you fuckers south of the border.
Yeah. Well,
they practice on us before they try and get it in. And thank God you guys didn't put Kamala in power, or you'd be about 5 years behind us on the test case bullshit.
Kamala Harris, I got words about her, and I got information about her.
I don't know. I really liked her when she was at WrestleMania as the Ugandan headhunter, Kamala. I thought she did a great job.
I haven't found a use for her yet. Like, I even go back to her old photos and videos where she's hanging out with Diddy and all the other rap stars as the attached girlfriend or whatever. I can't even retrofap to that. She's just not attractive in any least to me. Yeah. Well, I can't retrobate to Kamala. I've tried. I can retrobate to girls in my old high school yearbooks. I lived there. It was great.
The thing is sometimes it's not what you look like; it's what you do.
Yeah. Well, let's just put it this way. I've heard some stories about KH, and let me just say they're Hugh Hefner's grotto
adrenochrome
rivals some of the stories I've heard.
JH?
No, KH.
Oh, her. Dude, please.
KH.
That lady.
Yeah.
That bitch sucked dick to get to where she was.
She literally is the poster child for get on your knees, ladies. Get on your knees, young girls.
Seriously, if she had been elected, you could have made the ad campaign, ladies, suck enough dick and you can be president too.
Exactly, Bear. Exactly.
I would have liked to have seen it. I just like watching dumpster fires burn. That's all.
Well, she left politics the way she entered it, on her knees.
Yeah.
With a box of wine.
Yeah.
That's funny because I had a meme that I showed off on X a long time ago. And it had a picture of a bunch of ER nurses, and it said, if a young woman sucks enough dicks, God appears and gives her an RN degree.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people did not like that on X. They were like, how dare you?
I know like 5 cops that have married multiple nurses over the time.
Oh, my God.
Nurses are whores, dude.
Nurses are the sluttiest of the slutty, I think. right behind
It depends.
right
If they're
behind the
working up
Lutheran
on the
minister's
floors,
daughter.
then they may not be. If they're up on the floors working in stroke ward or something, they might actually be whatever. But if they're in the ER, Bear's 100% correct. I don't know what it is about being in the ER and nurses, but it's like girls gone wild in that place.
It's called stress relief. That's how they take care of the
It's
stress
like,
relief.
I mean, I was an intern in Decatur and had plenty of them hit on me when I was hanging out with the cops.
yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, if you want to marry a nurse, it's awesome. Just know if she works in the ER, she's banging half the fire
She's banging the
department.
entire floor.
And probably some cops too. You know what I mean? But mostly firemen.
There was one guy that was on the second floor of DMH for a little while, and he had like 7 kids from like 5 ladies.
Dang.
How do you keep
Somebody's
up?
been busy.
So he's like Elon Musk then.
Yeah, but
Except
like
not as prolific.
Here's the problem. I heard somebody the other day. Elon's got too many kids. I looked at her and I said, what do you care? He can afford them. Every one of those kids is gonna be a millionaire the instant they pop out of the goddamn womb. You know what I mean? He can afford all those kids.
You know, it was kind of funny because wasn't it who was the one that gave birth to the child as a Wi-Fi router name? Starts with a P.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Well, she came out like not long ago talking about how his penis extension mangled his dick, and apparently he's got a mangled penis because of botched operation. That doesn't really stop women from like getting all happy for him.
Yeah, didn't he just knock up some influencer or something?
Another one, yes.
I mean, you can tell he's African American. You can tell Elon Musk is African American. He's got 15 kids, and none of them live with their dad.
But here's the big difference. Here's the big difference. And it doesn't really matter, but it's like he probably has a better credit score.
I would say
that's the one thing. I mean, he could survive in China for a little bit.
And if he ever left the house for milk and scratchers, he'd probably come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to shut up now before I go too far over that line.
When you got that much goddamn money and your kid pops out, you said, okay, you have a baby, I'll give you $1 million for each kid you pop out of your womb. What's a woman going to do? Say no? And the kid's got an automatic trust for $1 million. Come on.
At least.
You know what I mean?
And one thing I respect about Elon is he gave a speech talking about how we're not reproducing enough and we need more people. Did he just sit around and talk shit? No, he actively went out and tried.
Elon's a doer.
He's a
doer.
He's like, we need more babies. And I'm going to make it my point of existence to make that happen.
I guess I'd be a doer too since I got 4 kids. I mean, I'm making up for some of you guys.
Yeah. You're like a 70s doer, man. You got to be like Elon. He's like a 40s doer.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm back from the war. I'm going to turn your vagina into a clown car.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to create the largest generation that ever existed on planet Earth, and then they're going to fuck up everything in the future. Oh, why was time travel not invented to stop those assholes?
I swear to God,
Elon's got the school bus going when he's got all the kids, man.
Fucking boomers. So many stupid ideas from people nowadays.
Fucking boomers. One of the girls, a couple of people I work with, one of the girls I work from Argentina, we were just talking today. And even in Argentina, they hate fucking boomers. You know what I mean? Like, nobody likes boomers.
No. It's like I saw a commercial and they were interviewing this boomer in, I think, Toronto. And she's like, I voted for the guy that's going to stop Trump because he's an asshole and he shouldn't even be president. And, of course, it was this old lady who probably owns 3 houses.
Yeah.
And, doesn't give a shit that, like America, you guys, younger people are like, somebody was saying a house in Canada is going for like $1 million. That's like New York City prices.
Dude,
And
I
these
can
aren't even
show
nice
you
houses.
pictures. I can show you pictures of houses in Vancouver that are practically almost at the point of collapsing in on each other, on themselves, that are selling for $1.5 million.
That's like more than people pay to buy a house on Long Island.
Gee, you think?
Yes.
Gee, you think my country's fucked?
I'm just like, what was funny too is they were showing people running for some district in Toronto for like government. And like 3 of the people that were running, their last name was Singh.
Oh, dude, they're exposing now the amount of Chinese influence in the Canadian election. Like, it's insane how much influence China put. Like, we have a member of parliament, a liberal member of parliament, who literally was encouraging people to take up the bounty that the Chinese government had put on some guy's head. And like, he doesn't get any trouble. That's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're fine.
Okay, did you see the Maxine Waters wig that metastasized into a human being and is trying to impeach Trump?
Oh God.
The Indian
Which one's
dude,
this?
This is the Indian dude.
Something.
Darbad something or other, and like it. He I can't understand half the shit he says.
He
I'm not
has
trying to-
the thickest not Punjabi, like Southern Indian accent you ever heard. And of course, he's like talking about articles of whatever, and it's like, dude, you don't have the votes in the House.
You don't have the cards.
You don't have the cards. Yeah, to quote Trump,
Well,
you got no cards. But anyway, guys, my wife cooked me dinner, and she told me I have to come eat, so I'm going.
Oh.
Bye.
What did you make
All right,
enough
I'm
for the
gonna
rest
watch
of
the
us?
Minnesota Wild kick the ass of the on ESPN. So,
But I'll catch you guys later, and thank you for hanging.
All right.
Later,
Talk
all.
to
So
Lavista.
long. Farewell.